Hello everybody, my name is Tobisatsu and I just got back from G-Fest 2025. I've been wanting to go for over a decade and I was finally able to go this year. I've got a bunch of things that I did, I have some notes I took and some videos I shot. This is going to be somewhat scripted, somewhat not, mostly just sharing my thoughts and, sharing what I got to do on my first ever trip to G-Fest. So we started out on a Friday. If I had known that the Pickwick was actually doing movies on Thursday, I would have done that. I honestly completely forgot to look into that, and, unfortunately I missed out on some really good films, but not a massive deal. We got up super early. We were flying out of New York, so we woke up right at 3:30, got to the airport, flew out, got to Washington, had a massive hour delay, pain in the ass, but flew out from Washington to Chicago, 9:45 Chicago time, so that was fantastic. And we finally made it to Hyatt Regency O'Hare. Let me tell you, this hotel is incredible. There is a massive amount of space, so many rooms, so many areas to explore. It's like a labyrinth when you get in there. A lot of my knowledge of actual G-Fest activities and how to get around came from the YouTuber Zagarudan. They make fantastic content, and you should check them out for sure after this. The way they described it was very like almost Asylum 1984 like, and in ways I agree. But there's something about its size I love. It's a beautiful structure. There's fantastic views. I took some videos off the balcony that you guys will be seeing, and it was just a ton of fun. It was a really nice hotel for what it's worth. Now, anyways, once we got everything dropped off, we went up to registration, got signed up, and off we went. Thankfully, because we were a bit delayed, everything was kicking off, which worked out for us. So we started out at the artist alley and then headed into the model room. There were some really nice pieces on display. Even though we were late, technically we were early for the model room as well as the art room, just down to the fact that they were still putting things out. If I'm remembering right, I think it was like 12 or 2 p.m. is when they actually had everything set up. But we got a good look at some pretty cool things. There was a gorgeous Millennium Godzilla head on display and a bunch of little like tinier busts of the Godzillas. Some really cute drawings and some other like little arts and crafts varying from like children and adults, and all the different skill sets on display was awesome. I really enjoyed going through that with my girlfriend. After that, we started with the dealer's room. Wow. Holy crap. It took us close to an hour just to get into the actual room itself. I have a picture of the line. I don't have many videos or photos of the dealer room itself. It was just so much was going on, I had to kind of lock in with that there, to be honest. But once we got past the line, to be fair, it moved fairly fast. It was glorious. A lot of different stands, varying people. So honestly, there were 3 figures I was specifically looking for, and everything else was essentially a bonus as I came across it. So I got to the table where they were selling the YMSF stuff, and I got 3 things. I got the orange glow-in-the-dark G Fantas. Got it for $95, so pretty solid price. It's hard vinyl and it's pretty tall, so I'm pretty happy with the price that I got that for. I also got the 1965 purple translucent Godzilla. Love this figure. I really like the mold. I'm not big on how it looks when it's painted, so I actually really like that I found this in the translucent vinyl. And I also got this gorgeous Orga YMSF glitter black and gold like speckled. It was like I think $80, really solid price, and I love it. It's massive, had some funky ass smells to it. The best I could compare it to is like soap from my grandmother's house. I feel like if you know, you know. But I really liked picking that up. There are also some just cool other like vintage toys lying around, of course, and some modern stuff which I avoided just because the prices were exuberant for those. Couple cool VHSs. There were some laser discs. They actually had a laser disc for Gamera 2, The Advent of Legion, which I was 50-50 on and was debating on getting. So definitely thought about picking that up and kind of stashed that in the back of my head for a later day. But I did that day pick up Gamera 2 Advent of Legion on VHS. And I just love the way the cover art pops. It looks fantastic. Got it for $25, so not too bad. This is, I believe, my first foreign VHS. I don't quote me on that. I'll put up like a notification if it isn't, but really love this. This will make a really nice display piece in the movie room. Afterwards, that put us at the perfect time to catch the Ishiro Honda documentary that they were playing in the theater. The Ishiro Honda Memoirs of a Film Director. You know, it was a pretty solid documentary. It was like, I think an hour, 10 hour 20s, so not super long, very concise and to the point with its information. It's fairly professional. There's some kind of hiccups, subtitles and such were at points misspelled, and it's not like a incredibly shot, like, put together documentary, but it was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed it. Very solid film. If you don't know of Ishiro Honda's story, I'd highly recommend it. It was a solid, fun watch, so, you know, there you go. After that, we took some time to relax. Thank God. I was exhausted, so it was nice to take. It was about an hour just to kind of relax. And then we went down to the little Ultraman section and saw Ultraman versus Jirahs, which I will actually have the video of the stage fight playing on screen as I'm talking. So this was one of the biggest things I wanted to see. So this was huge for me to get to this with my girlfriend. Got there 15 minutes early, got some nice viewing. It doesn't look as close up on my phone, but we were super close to the actual stage, so that was a ton of fun. And the suits, man, they looked incredible. Jirahs specifically looked way better than he did in the Scavenger fight series. It's so odd because that was such an interesting looking suit compared to this. This feels very much more traditional to how he looked in the original series. It was just fantastic fun. You know, the crowd got crazy with it. There were adults and kids, and it was great to see everyone come together and enjoy that stage fight. Afterwards, he did some photos, so I was able to go up and get some photos, which I'm not sure if I'm going to blur out my face yet. I might, so don't be shocked if you see that, but I had a lot of fun actually going up and seeing those costumes. And it was great. I got to talk to someone who was working in the autograph room who was in the line as well. And they were discussing how, I feel like a kid again, you know. And, I mean, I know that's kind of cheesy. I feel like a lot of people say that when it goes to G-Fest. But to be surrounded by those people and, you know, there were a ton of little interactions through the day that were just awesome. And it was great to have, you know, people of varying ages. You had kids and adults and teenagers just loving the experience. It was great. I really heavily enjoyed that experience. After that, that was it. That was the end of the first day of G-Fest. They were playing Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla at the Pickwick, and they had some other kind of oddball events, but at that point, my girlfriend and I were tapped out. We headed back to the hotel, got ourselves cozy, and got ready for day 2. Day 2 was pretty chill just because we got to kind of take some time to actually readjust in the morning. So we took about until 10 or so to actually wake up, and then we headed down to the Sessions 1 room where they were doing essentially the big meetings. And it was a gorgeous venue. You got a ton of seating, a really nice stage. You got the G-Fantas statue on the stage as well. Really cool to have seen a costume like that in person. And the first panel that we got to watch was the direct-to-video kaiju panel. And I thought it was pretty good. I actually knew about quite a bit of these titles, but there were a few that I didn't know about up until that panel. And it was kind of cool to see someone, you know, explain it, how it got to where it was. The certain projects that were meant for theaters but then got put to DVD. It was really, really cool. After that, though, Ben Furuya came in and did his panel, and it was a ton of fun. I mean, I think just about every seat in the auditorium was filled. He came out, he greeted himself, and it was just so much fun. He oozes charisma when he's on the stage. I think he commands the presence of everybody, and he was so down to earth, so kind. He talked about the James Dean inspiration and such for the character, and even showed off some tap dancing. It was a really nice panel. Very sobering to see someone of who I consider pretty high status just be happy to be around people who are fans and, genuinely enjoy the content that he was involved in. So really cool, really cool. Right after that, Shinichi Wakasa came in to do his panel. Obviously, he did a lot of the suits for the Heisei and Millennium Godzilla films and some other projects as well, such as Ultraman 80, got some focus. And he seems like a great guy. He was, through the convention, my girlfriend and I saw him like over and over again. We saw him in the dealer's room. We saw him walking around just the general venue, kind of exploring the different areas. Like, he was definitely, out of everyone who was there as a guest, taking it all in, just exploring. Like, I thought that was awesome. We got to do some audience Q&As, and we got to hear some really cool stories just of, things that occurred with his career and things that, being obviously a model maker, you're not as esteemed as like a director, so there's things that kind of just, you get screwed on. One of the good examples was they were talking about the pachinko machine and how they used a bunch of the suits that he had made for the videos there. And he talked about how he had no insight on the project. They told him nothing about the costume. They took the Millennium Godzilla, painted it black, and just shoved it there and, obviously used it. It's kind of crazy to think, like, wow, like, to this, it's art. Like, the suits are art. And to have just, like, your art stolen and just plastered over to be like, all right, let's make some money. Like, that's got to be such a crazy thing. And it was unfortunate to hear that. And you can kind of tell, it's like, man, that sucks, like, in his voice. But something that really got me was when he was discussing how, when he designed Red King 3 for Ultraman 80, he actually had went up to the initial creator of Red King, and he was talking about it with him. And he was very much told, like, make this your own. Like, I want you to make it how you feel, Red King is. Red King is such a cool character, and I know you'll do it justice. And he was talking about how, like, that meant so much to him, and it was beautiful. And just a really nice little story. And the panel as a whole, like, truly moved me. I was very, very on train Shinichi Wakasa after that. I was looking to get his signature. I was very 50-50 on it, though, to be honest, just because of money and stuff. But that panel, dude, killed it. So I was like, I need to get his signature. Speaking of signatures, I got to get a signature from Bin Furuya. So I had actually brought an item for him to sign. And the line for him wasn't horrible. I would say it took about 30 minutes, you know what I mean? Just kind of typical autograph line. He took time for everybody, kind of did a little chat, did the picture and the pose. It was great. I saw the Hank Hill cosplayer, who I knew was going to be there, and I couldn't find him after this, and I should have gotten a picture with him. But I was like, holy shit. I've been binging King of the Hill, so I was like, oh my god, that's Hank Hill. He did a great, like, Hank impression. Whoa! But I got to meet Ben, shook his hand, got to talk to him a little bit. The item I had him sign was the Ultraman Expressions in Animation VHS. So really cool. He made it out in my name and, signed it himself. Really cool. Very kind guy. My girlfriend and I posed with him, and he was like, you guys killed it. Like, when he said, very good, very good. Very just humble man, very kind soul. He exuded, happiness at the fact that there were so many people who really enjoyed his craft. So I was very happy to have had the chance to meet him, get a signature from him, and, hear his stories from the panel. After this, we went to the art dealer room as we waited for the Ultraman update panel. Very nice selection of things. They had some bead art, some drawings. I know Matt Frank had a nice little table set up. And I actually ended up getting 2 little sketch cards from an artist of Red King and Gabara. And I was very happy with those. They were $15 for the 2 of them. Happy to support an artist, and honestly, I love the way these look. These will be nice to display with figures of the characters. Of course, after that, we then went to the Ultraman update panel, and dude, they killed it. We got updates with Blu-rays from Mill Creek. We got Ultraman Powered coming, Ultraman Towards the Future, 4K copies of Ultraman and Ultra 7, even more. Like, I got a very, very good impression from this panel about the people who are in charge of the US division with Subaraya. You're hearing about like things like Ultra Academy and how they're pushing to get new kids into the show, how they're really proud of teaming up with Marvel and other things to get Ultraman out there into the general public's view. Like, it kind of felt like you could really see, like, yeah, like they are taking some very serious, paths to make Ultraman popular here. And I'm gonna be honest, man, it felt like it was working. It was a little unfortunate to see there weren't more people in the panel to see it, but honestly, I had a lot of fun. The hosts there were fantastic, showed some really cool things besides the Blu-rays. Omega actually came out, did some stuff, and shook everybody's hand as we left, and the costume was incredible. A really, really nice costume, so that was really cool to see. And honestly, after that, that did it. We went to go get some Chicago pizza, which I hated. I was not big on that, so that was unfortunate. But what are you gonna do? I'm glad I got to actually try, genuine Chicago deep dish. And after that, we fell asleep and got ready for the final day of G-Fest. Now, to be frank, the final day was honestly really super chill. The day before, we weren't able to actually go to the model and art room just because there were so many people and the lines were packed. And when the panels and such that we were going to do just didn't line up time-wise. So we did actually get a chance to stop back in. We got to see who won People's Choice, got the Merit Awards and such. Got to see some more pieces as well of things that we hadn't seen yet. So that was a nice little quick experience, even though we weren't able to see everything. I mentioned that I wanted to get a signature from Shinichi Wakasa, and I needed an item for him to sign. I didn't bring one with me. So we took a final tour of the dealer's room, and dude, it was wiped. Definitely there were a decent amount of people. There are already less people for day 2, but day 3 it was legit just walk in and go shopping. I found a gorgeous theater exclusive Godzilla Millennium with the tag. They wanted $80. I haggled down to $70 and was able to secure a pretty sick item for Shinichi Wakasa to sign, which goes along fantastically with my newly acquired Orga. We went right over to the signature room, got a ticket, walked up to Shinichi Wakasa, and got to shake his hand. He's a really fantastic guy, and if I'm going to be honest, he spoke some pretty solid English. He ended up pointing out my shirt that had the baby Godzilla with the cannon, which you guys will probably recognize as my YouTube profile picture. He really liked the shirt, which I thought was cool. Really cool guy. I got to tell him, like, yeah, you made my childhood, man. Like, you make some amazing pieces, and I'm really grateful for your work. Took a picture with him, got his signature on the tag of the Godzilla, and I was just happy. Just really solid way to essentially end G-Fest. Right after that, I went to try and watch Big Beast Bugon, which unfortunately the timing of the showing changed from what was on the site, so I missed both that as well as the director's new film Featherlawn. But I got to find out that they're making a sequel, got to hear some questions and answers from him as well as the crew that worked on it with him. He seemed like a really cool guy, very ecstatic to have so many people enjoy his movies, especially since a lot of the movies he's making, like those shorter films, are made with students as the cast and crew, which I think is really sick. It's a really, really cool guy to see. After that, that was about it. Got dinner, came back, chilled, watched King of the Hill with my girlfriend before she put on Love Island, and I took a final stroll of Hyatt Regency O'Hare. And taking a look at just everything, it was surreal seeing what was once a bustling, massive, just busy work of people and cosplayers and so on and so forth, now just quiet. I mean, and they got those signs down fast. I went back down around 7, and everything was gone. And it was such a crazy thing to think, like, dude, like 3-4 hours ago, shit was going down. Now it's right back to being a hotel. Flew out the next morning, got back home, and here I am recording this audio. I am very grateful to have had the opportunity to go to G-Fest. I want to thank my girlfriend for being willing to come along and also just, enjoying this with me, letting me kind of explore and, geek out for a weekend. I'm really, really grateful to have the chance to just, get away from everything, see all these fans and families and, groups of friends just enjoying themselves in this franchise and the franchises surrounding it that, the average person isn't as attuned to as we are. It was a nice thing to really have a chance to do. And I'm definitely going to want to go back next year. It was such an experience. It heavily exceeded my expectations. And if you've never been to G-Fest, man, make an effort to go. It's worth it. You're going to spend a lot of money on figures and a bunch of other things, but you're not going to forget your first experience with this con. It's incredible. That wraps it up. I thank you guys for sitting with me while I ranted for a bit. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. If you have any questions about the con or want to share some of your experiences, whether it be from this con or any one previous, be sure to leave a comment on that. And be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. I've got plenty more content lined up. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Tobisatsu, and I hope that you have a great day.